All right, so here we go. Politico California playbook presented by Chevron, Raiders to Vegas, Apple's winning streak over, Google pressured to dump Trump. From 4/27/2016. Okay. Politico California playbook presented by Chevron, Raiders to Vegas, Apple's winning streak over, Google pressure to dump Trump. Our call in California's Politico playbook. Events. GOP's dangerous agenda release. United States Senator Barbara Boxer, House Democratic Caucus Chairman Xavier Becerra, and DNC Communications Director Luis Miranda will be hosting a press call ahead of the California GOP convention taking place this weekend, where the three remaining Republican presidential candidates are scheduled to speak. The fact of the matter is that Donald Trump, Ted Cruz, and John Kasich are all completely out of touch. Simply put, we cannot afford to give any one of them the keys to the White House. Buenos dias and good Wednesday morning, Golden State. The buzz: Republican Donald Trump's landslide 5-state sweep, cracking the 60% mark, and Hillary Clinton's key pickup of delegate-rich Pennsylvania, along with Connecticut, Maryland, and Delaware in Tuesday's primaries, changed the calculations and strategy heading toward California's June 7th primary. The Silicon Valley angle. Trump's dominant performance means the pressure is ramping up on Google, one of Silicon Valley's biggest players, to be a disruptor in the 2016 presidential race and to withhold potentially lucrative sponsorships for Republican National Convention events, now that he's calling himself the presumptive nominee. What's ahead? A coalition of local activist groups in the San Francisco Bay Area promises Thursday to deliver upwards of 400,000 signatures to Mountain View-based Google, urging the tech firm to take no part in the convention coronation of Trump. The protesters include activists from California groups which have taken center stage in a number of high-profile protests: Credo, Color of Change, Ultraviolet, Burst Goliath, Free Press Action Fund, Daily Kos, Center for Media Justice, and the Courage Campaign. Along with Thursday's petitions, a plane will fly over Google headquarters and later over the San Francisco Bay and Golden Gate Bridge with a banner that reads, "Google, don't be evil, dump Trump." Google won't be the only corporate target. The groups will expand their appeals to leading firms like Microsoft, Coca-Cola, and Walmart, not to provide a platform for Donald Trump's hateful rhetoric. Bottom line, reporters already suggest leading tech firms like Facebook, Google, and Apple, which have had big roles at political events ranging from debates to convention parties, are rightly nervous about being associated even indirectly with Trump's controversial statements and campaign. But there's marketing, audience, and revenue to consider. Google this dilemma. A message from Chevron data comes in all shapes and sizes: emails, texts, even selfies, and each day more energy is used to move the world's data than to fly all its planes. Chevron helps make sure we have the energy to keep sharing and flying. Trump backers, critics clash, fire pepper spray outside Anaheim City Hall. Keep your noses out of the national election by LA Times. Ando and Matt Hamilton. A divided Anaheim City Council voted late Tuesday to take no action on a resolution to formally denounce Donald J. Trump, capping a heated, nearly 4-hour debate that followed clashes outside City Hall between supporters and opponents of the Republican presidential candidate. These are all the stories. I feel like these are... I don't know. Okay, the biggest California primary since Goldwater beat Rockefeller by Eliana Johnson in the National Review. As in 1964, the race that will culminate in California is also a battle for the ideological soul of the Republican Party. Goldwater's nomination ensured the GOP would be a vessel for conservatism. On June 7, California's 5 million registered Republicans will decide whether it remains so. Trump lunch sold out with 600. Could be most watched GOP convention since Ronald Reagan. Flash reports John Fleischman via Breitbart News sets the table for the explosive state GOP convention this weekend. The opening bell for the fight for 172 delegates on the Republican side, awarded largely by congressional districts on a 3-2 a district winner-takes-all basis. Divvy it up. GOP attorney Ben Ginsburg on the so-called Kasich-Cruz coordination tells MSNBC that the Republicans could craft a savvy California strategy if they play their cards right. Each can specialize in certain districts. Under California's winner-takes-all by congressional district, June 7, GOP primary, Kasich would stake a claim to Silicon Valley Bay Area, Cruz to San Diego Inland Empire, and Trump. Go figure. Please. Donald Trump brings troublesome relationship with the truth to California by PolitiFact's Chris Nichols. PolitiFact, the national and independent fact-checking website, has never met a presidential candidate quite like Trump. The GOP frontrunner has earned more pants on fire ratings for claims he's made than any presidential hopeful PolitiFact has checked since it launched in 2007. Those ratings are reserved for only the most outlandish statements. Trouble ahead. Confusion lurks in the California primary by Capital Weekly's Paul Mitchell. One challenge heading into June is that these voters have grown accustomed to seeing all candidates on their ballot with the new open primary, while insiders might understand the subtleties of the Republican and Democratic presidential primaries. Our past experience shows that the average voter has not done well adapting to seemingly simple changes in election procedures. States Democratic superdelegates feel heat from Sanders backers. All right, so Tony and Tone Deaf. Upscale NorCal community incites droughts over wants residents to water lawns by LA Times. Joseph Cerna, we believe that by allowing the drought to negatively impact the landscape of any Black Hawk home does a disservice to property values throughout the community, the Homeowners Association announced. We believe that there is no longer any reason that all landscaping in the community cannot flourish as it once did. Starting in June 1st, any of Black Hawk's 2,000 homeowners who fail to maintain green lawns or install drought-tolerant landscaping will now risk fines or litigation. Raiders to Sin City. Las Vegas seeks a pledge from Raiders owner Mark Davis by SF Chronicles Vic Taffer. While the Raiders close in on their first waiting list for season tickets at the 53,000-seat Oakland Coliseum, owner Mark Davis will be in Las Vegas on Thursday, reportedly set to pledge to move the team there. Investigative thumbs up. Here are all the sports events California state lawmakers attended for free by LA Times' Javier Panzar. Being an elected official in California has its perks. Want proof? Consider all the free tickets to sporting events that members of the legislature accepted last year as gifts from utility unions, law firms, and other firms with searchable database. Might have to go there, huh? Boop. No, so I just took us there. Alright. Well, back to what I was reading. Welcome to Politico's California Playbook. Got tips, stories, ideas, events, blah, 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 blah. Marinucci. Alright. Assembly Democrats want more than $1 billion for affordable housing next year by LA Times. Liam Dillon. The plan provides a mixture of tax credits, development subsidies, and grants to spur home building for those with the lowest incomes in the state, including farm workers and the homeless. 14 people fatally overdosed on painkiller in California via U.S. News and World Report. At least a dozen people in the Sacramento area have fatally overdosed on a pill disguised to look like a popular painkiller, and now the drug has turned up on the San Francisco Bay Area. Barbarians. Report reveals racist text from San Francisco police officer by Washington Post Lindsay Beaver. Authorities said they have uncovered racist and homophobic text messages sent by and to a former San Francisco police officer who is embroiled in a growing scandal over such messages among law enforcement. Jason Lai has resigned from the San Francisco Police Department following a 2015 investigation that first looked into sexual assault allegations. San Francisco police text scandal at odds with diverse image via AP. Details of a second batch of racist and homophobic text messages sent by a San Francisco police officer seem at odds with the image of a rainbow-flagged city that prides itself with diversity. BLA. Why San Francisco's economy outperforms its southern neighbors by San Francisco Business Times. Riley McDermott. The San Francisco metro area has done far better than Los Angeles when it comes to creating prosperity for its residents. A new book by urbanist Michael Storper argues, and the Bay Area is a test case in how to advance long-term economic development, he told The Atlantic in an interview this week. Industry differences are essential, Storper said. The Bay Area captured key new economy industries such as information technology and biotechnology, and Greater LA did not. How UCSF landed a $185 million gift from Wall Street's Sandy Weill, Weill, by San Francisco Business Times' Ron Ludy. LA City Council soapbox evades its own sexual misconduct failures. Scientology leader David Miscavige threatens to sue over father's tell-all. by Hollywood reporter Seth Abramovich, among the malicious, false, misleading, and highly defamatory assertions made in the book, that Miss Scavenge seized power from Scientology founder L. Ron Hubbard by outmaneuvering rivals, that Gold Base headquarters in Hemet, California has appalling conditions, and staff were not permitted to leave, that church members were subjected to deprivation and violence while detained in a prison-like containment center known as The Hole, and that Miss Scavenge hired private detectives to trail his father. That sounds fun. All right, top business leaders. 27 governors urge Congress to boost computer science education. By the Washington Post's Emma Brown, our schools should give all students the opportunity to understand how this technology works, to learn how to be creators, coders, and makers, not just consumers. They wrote Tuesday in an open letter to lawmakers. Instead, what is increasingly a basic skill is only available to the lucky few, leaving most students behind, particularly students of color and girls. Report casts doubt on San Francisco area breast cancer cluster on FoxNews.com. An extensive report in the Pulitzer Prize-winning weekly newspaper Point Reyes Light highlighted how the Bay Area media contributes to the anxiety of off-white women in Marin County, with headlines like "Unseen Killer Stalks Marin" and "Breast Cancer Amid Affluence High Rate in Marin County Appears Tied to Wealth and Education," even though evidence shows the disease is no more prevalent there than in other places. Depends on what the cancer is. Might be what the schools are made out of, the breathing conditions. All right, Delta battle over water and fish lands in court by San Jose Mercury News. Dennis Cuff. State and federal regulators have failed to protect Delta fish and the environment during the drought by repeatedly relaxing water quality standards so as to keep water flowing to California cities and farms. 3 conservation groups argued in a federal lawsuit filed Friday. Employment distress affects 2.9 million Californians by SACB's Dan Walters. Officially, 1.1 million Californians are unemployed, half as many as the state had during the depths of the Great Recession. However, a new analysis of employment data by the legislature's budget advisor suggests that when the underemployed and labor force dropouts are added to the official number, job distress affects nearly 3 times as many Californians. All right, so Gavin takes a risk. Bravo TV's Watch What Happens Live, a sexy live show hosted by Andy Cohen, is usually populated with real housewives, hard-drinking drag queens, entertainers, and even porn stars. But last night, it was California Lieutenant Governor Gavin Newsom's turn to hit Cohen's clubhouse, alongside actress Bellamy Young, who plays America's First Lady in the hit show Scandal. Just in time for the eyes of the nation to be on those California congressional districts. California Center for Jobs and Economy and the California Business Roundtable issues detailed demographic profiles of all 53 California congressional districts. Loretta Sanchez says relaxing species law on the table to help state by SACB's Christopher Cadalago. Democratic U.S. Representative Loretta Sanchez, campaigning for U.S. Senate, said Tuesday that she would consider amending the federal law governing endangered species to help improve the water supply across the parched state of California. Asked whether the Endangered Species Act should be looked at, Sanchez said yes. Sunlight Foundation's 25 biggest spending house races in 2016. California's 17th district comes in 22nd with $1.7 million spent. Dang. All right. Two top Democrats feel the heat. Capitol Weekly by Ted Anderson. Capitol Weekly, California's fledgling top two voting system, which creates an open primary for statewide and other offices, could prove costly to Democrats in liberal districts while rewarding Republicans who lose. Incoming blistering recap. Senate debate. Kamala Harris wins by not losing. CI via CalBuzz blog. Tom Del Beccaro attacked Kamala Harris for being a squish on crime. Ron Unz blamed Pete Wilson for wrecking California's Republican Party. Duff Sunheim seemed precariously close to a James Stockdale moment. Loretta Sanchez sounded like she'd been sucking on a helium balloon moments before the event even started. After nixing House run, Laura Capps to announce school board candidacy by Jerry Roberts, Santa Barbara Independent, Hollywoodland. Comcast in talks to buy DreamWorks for more than $3 billion via Wall Street Journal. DreamWorks, based in Glendale, California, makes animated movies such as Shrek and Kung Fu Panda. Comcast, based in Philadelphia, is a cable giant that also owns the Universal Pictures film studio, with which DreamWorks Animation would likely merge. It wasn't immediately clear what the deal, should it go through, would mean for DreamWorks chief executive, veteran Hollywood mogul Jeffrey Katzenberg. 15 years after Thelma and Louise, Geena Davis thinks Hollywood needs to get over its fear of female characters, by the Washington Post's Alyssa Rosenberg. Oscars Academy asks members for resumes to determine voting eligibility, by The Hollywood Reporter's Scott Feinberg. The Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences has begun the process of vetting its members to determine whether or not they qualify as active under the Academy's recently approved rules, which would impact whether or not they retain the right to vote for the Oscars. Valleyland. End of an era. 13 years of continuous quarterly growth ends at Apple, by New York Times Vindu Goel. The technology giant said on Tuesday that revenue for its second fiscal quarter, which ended in March, fell 13% to $50.6 billion as sales of its flagship product, the iPhone, fell with little else to take its place. Net income fell 22% to $10.5 billion or $1.9 a share. Uber picks up a new passenger. The Teamsters, by San Francisco Business Times' Riley McDermott, in the wake of a major legal settlement for Uber drivers that kept them classified as independent contractors but allows them to organize. The Teamsters Joint Council 7 said this week that is still actively involved in trying to form a drivers' association with the group. How Uber's political donations illustrate the divide between management and employees in Crowdpack. Tweet of the day: I just completed an entire press interview by text message using WhatsApp while flying at 35,000 feet. Technology sure can be cool. Nerf. Study reveals new vulnerabilities. If you use Waze, hackers can stalk you via Fusion. Researchers at the University of California, Santa Barbara recently discovered a Waze vulnerability that allowed them to create thousands of ghost drivers that can monitor the drivers around them, an exploit that could be used to track Waze users in real time. They proved it to me by tracking my own movements around San Francisco and Las Vegas over a 3-day period. New girl in town, she has a name. Amazon's Alexa is a sleeper hit with serious superfans by the Guardian's Nellie Bowles. Among the more than 35,000 reviews on Amazon, the general consensus is that unlike Apple's Siri, whose error rate can be frustrating, the Echo responds as soon as it hears the word Alexa, and it rarely mishears the commands. Meanwhile, developers see a new gold rush as they start building apps called Skills for the Echo even before Amazon has opened the proper app store. LinkedIn moved into a skyscraper in San Francisco, and the offices are unlike anything else we've seen. 25 geniuses who are creating the future of business in Wired. Deep dive The Rise and Fall of Silk Road, Part 1 by Josh Bierman and Tomer Hanuka in Wired. Media Matters, Gannett and Tribune bosses get into snit during acquisition talks by Poynter's Benjamin Mullen. Discussions over the fate of Tribune Publishing are starting to get a little chippy since Gannett made its $815 million bid to purchase the publisher of the Los Angeles Times, the Chicago Tribune, and 9 other major dailies on Monday. Executives from both companies have exchanged pointed messages that offer contrasting accounts of the run-up to the acquisition offer. Moving up, San Francisco Mayor Edwin M. Lee has announced the appointment of Ivar Sotero as director of the San Francisco International Airport, following the retirement of director John L. Martin, who held the post for 20 years. Sotero is currently the Chief Operating Officer of SFO and formerly held the position of Deputy Director for Design and Construction. His appointment is effective July 18, 2016. Endorsements. Los Angeles City Council member Paul Koretz has endorsed Loretta Sanchez for U.S. Senate. Mr. Koretz, who represents diverse communities in the west side of Los Angeles and parts of the San Fernando Valley, cites Loretta Long's standing support for Israel and the Jewish community as reason for his backing. The California School Employees Association, CSEA, is supporting Joe Dunn for California's 46th Congressional District, Dunn's capital announced Tuesday. Events. GOP's Dangerous Agenda release. United States Senator Barbara Boxer, House Democratic Caucus Chairman Xavier Becerra, and DNC Communications Director Luis Miranda will be hosting a press call ahead of the California GOP convention taking place this weekend, where the 3 remaining Republican presidential candidates are scheduled to speak. The fact of the matter is that Donald Trump, Ted Cruz, and John Kasich are all completely out of touch. Simply put, we cannot afford to give them the keys to the White House. And then a message from Chevron. Data comes in all shapes and sizes, emails, text, even selfies. And each day more energy is used to move the world's data to fly all its planes. Chevron makes sure we have the energy to keep sharing and flying. Work smarter, not harder. Politico Pro, Politico's premium subscription service, arms policy professionals with the ability to do more than just track bills. With Legislative Compass, pros can quickly compare bill language, get whip counts, understand where bills originate, and track who supports specific legislation in Congress. Become a pro and empower yourself to make smarter decisions. Schedule your demo today. White House Correspondents Association weekend event. Playbook lunch with Billy Eichner and Mike Farah, F-A-R-A-H. Join Politico's chief White House correspondent, Mike Allen, as he takes Playbook live for a conversation with host of Billy on the Street and from Hulu's Difficult People, Billy Eichner, and president of production of Funny or Die, Mike Farah. All right.